the Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tutok na.
Welcome back mga grade 7 Mathematics.
Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangkub! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
Hooray! Now, let us begin.
Today, in Mathematics 7, we will learn to explain the measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode of a statistical data, and calculates the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode of ungroup and group data. It is important to explain and calculate the measures of central tendency because these help us to know what is normal or average for a set of data. It also condenses the data set down to one representative value, which is useful when you are working with large amounts of data. In real life, we can use these in businesses, in computing the mean sales or profits in a specific period, or even the kind of products which are marketable to your customers. And even in class, in determining the performance of the different classes within a school. Instead of comparing the marks of each student of each class, we just find the average marks of a particular class and compare it with the average of the other. At the end of this lesson, you will explain the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode of a statistical data, and calculates the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode of ungrouped and group data.
In statistics, the most commonly used measure is the measures of central tendency. It is the center location of the distribution. The three measures of central tendency are the mean, median, and mode. When we say mean, it is commonly called average. The symbol for the mean is read as X bar. Mean is the most popular among the measures of central tendency, for it is widely used. It is the sum of all numbers divided by how many numbers are there in a set of data. Mean indicates a point around with a value in the distribution balance. And also, mean is affected by extreme values. Now how about the median? Median is commonly called the middle value. This is the symbol of the median. It is read as X tilde. The median is the value in the distribution which divides the data into two equal parts. The data should be arranged in increasing or decreasing order. The arrangement of data in increasing or decreasing order is called an array. The median is used when we want to know the value in which half of the scores are more extreme and half are less extreme. Lastly is the mode. The mode is commonly called the frequently occurring value. The symbol for the mode is read as X hat. The mode is the number that occurs most often in a set of data. A set of data can have more than one mode or no mode at all. Remember this. If the data has no mode, then it is called non-modal. If it has one mode, then it is called unimodal. If it has two modes, then the data is called bimodal. If it has three modes, then the data is called trimodal. If the data has four or more modes, then it is called multimodal.
Now we will learn first on how to solve for the mean, median, and mode for ungrouped data. What is an ungrouped data? Ungrouped data is basically a list of numbers or scores. The data you gather first from an experiment or study. For ungrouped data, the data is raw. Here are some examples. Edna's math test scores. As you can see, these are the list of scores. It is raw data. Another, the ages of 10 guests at a party. So how are we going to solve for the mean in ungrouped data? To solve, we have to use this formula, where this symbol is the mean, this are the values, and this is the sum of the values, and n is the total number of values from the given data. Let us have an example. Find the mean of this given data. First, we have to write the formula. Next, substitute the values from the given dataset in the formula. Note that there are 8 numbers of values in the given dataset. Next, add the numbers in the numerator. Then divide to the denominator. Finally, this is the mean. 92 divided by 8 is equal to 11.5. Now, how are we going to solve for the median in an ungrouped data? Here are the steps. First, arrange the data in increasing or decreasing order. If there is an odd number of items in the dataset, then the median is the middle number. And lastly, if there is an even number of items in the dataset, then the median is found by taking the mean, or the average, of the two middlemost numbers. Let us have an example. Find the median of this given data. First, we arrange the values. This data is arranged in increasing order. Take note, you may arrange the data in increasing or decreasing order. Next, let us count the numbers in the data set. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Therefore, we have 5 elements in the given data. Now, since there are 5 numbers in the given data set, now let's look for the middle number. The middle number is, right, it's 84. Therefore, the median is equal to 84. Another example. Find the median of this given data set. So first, let us arrange the values. In this case, the data is arranged in decreasing order. But again, take note that you may arrange the data in increasing or decreasing order. Now, let's count the numbers in the data set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, there are 8 numbers in this given data set. Now, since it is even, therefore, there are 2 middlemost numbers. And what are these? Right, these are 12 and 11. So now, we have to solve for the mean of the 2 middlemost numbers. To get the mean or average of the 2 numbers, again, we have to use this formula. Now, for the mean of these 2 numbers, we have 11 plus 12 divided by 2. Now, let's add the numerators. 11 plus 12 is equal to 23. So we now have 23 over 2. 23 over 2 or 23 divided by 2 is equal to 11.5. Therefore, the median of this given data set is equal to 11.5.
Now, how to find for the mode in an ungrouped data? Note that the symbol for the mode is. Here are the steps. First, we arrange the values in increasing or decreasing order. Next, find the number that occurs most often in a set of data. Always remember this. Now, let us have examples. First, find the mode of this given data set. First, arrange the values. So we now have, here, the data is arranged in increasing order. Note, we may arrange the data in increasing or decreasing order. Next, analyze the given data set. Observe that there is no number that occurs most often. Therefore, there is no mode in the given data set. And this is called non-modal. Next example. Find the mode of this given data set. Again, first arrange the values. So we now have, here, the data is arranged in decreasing order. Note, we may arrange the data in increasing or decreasing order. Second, analyze the given data set. Observe that the numbers 11 and 12 occurs most often. Therefore, the modes of the given data set are 11 and 12. This data set is an example of a bimodal data set.
Now, let us proceed to the measures of central tendency for group data. Group data is the term used for a bigger quantity of collected data. Group data is data given in intervals, just like this example. Now, how are we going to calculate the mean for group data? Now, when we say mean, it is an average. It is the sum of scores divided by the number of cases, or n. Note that mean is considered as the most stable and reliable measure of central tendency. Now, to find the mean of group data using class marks, use this formula, where f is the frequency of each class, x is the class mark of each class, and sigma, or the summation symbol, indicates summation or sum. Let us have an example. Below are the scores of the 40 students in their second quarter exam in mathematics. Now, calculate the mean score. First step, complete the third column of the table for class marks. The class mark is the midpoint of a class interval. Now, as you can see, from the first interval 41 to 45, the class mark is equal to 41 plus 45 divided by 2. 41 plus 45 is equal to 86. So 86 divided by 2 is equal to 43. Thus, class mark is equal to 43, which is their midpoint. Next, complete the fourth column by multiplying the frequency and the class mark. On this example, the first interval 41 to 45, f is equal to 1, and class mark is equal to 43. So we have 1 times 43. 1 times 43 is equal to 43. Thus, fx is equal to 43. Now, let us get the sum of the f for the second column and the sum of fx, or on the fourth column. Now, let us use the sum of f and fx to compute the mean. So, we have the mean is equal to the summation of fx over the summation of f. Substituting the given values, we now have the summation of fx is equal to 1,200. The summation of f is equal to 40. So we have 1,200 divided by 40, and that is equal to 30. Therefore, the mean score of the second quarter exam in mathematics is 30.
Now, let's calculate the median for group data. When we say median, it is the middle score. It separates the data into two equal parts. Half of the quantities is located above the median, and the other half is found below the median. Note, the median is used in research studies like the population survey of a place. So, in computing the median for group data, this formula is used, where LL sub MC is the lower limit of the median class. F sub MC is the frequency of the median class. Less than CF is the less than cumulative frequency of the lower class next to the median class, and I is the class interval. For example, calculate the median of the quarterly scores in mathematics. First step, divide the sum of the frequencies by 2 to get the value that divides the collection into 2. Summation of f, or summation of frequency, divided by 2. Based on the given data, the summation of the frequency is 40. So we now have 40 divided by 2. 40 divided by 2 is equal to 20. So, looking at the data, the 20th score is contained in the class 26 to 30, or from 26 to 30. This means that the median falls within the class boundaries of 26 to 30. Hence, the interval 26 to 30 is called the median class. Next step, complete the third column of the table for the lower limit of the median class. Note, the lower limit of a median class is the result when the lower class interval is subtracted by 0.5. Now, in the median class 26 to 30, the lower limit is 26. So, 26 minus 0.5 is equal to 25.5. Thus, the lower limit of the median class is 25.5. Next step, Complete the fourth column for the less than cumulative frequency. Note, when we say less than cumulative frequency, it is the successive sum of the frequencies from the lower class intervals to the higher class intervals. So, in this case, we will start from 2. Computing for the less than cumulative frequency, we now have 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. 9 plus 14 is equal to 23, and so on. So, completing the table for the given data with the lower limit and less than cumulative frequency, we now have. So, let's solve for the median. Based on the completed table, the given are summation of frequency or summation of f is equal to 40. The less than CF is equal to 9. This is the cumulative frequency below the median class. F sub MC, or the frequency of the median class, is equal to 14. The lower limit of the median class is equal to 25.5. Next, I is equal to 5, or the class size. When we say class size, it is the size of the class interval of a set of data. Example, in the class interval 26 to 30, there are 5 terms. Thus, the class size is 5. That is done by counting the numbers from 26 to 30. So, let's solve for the median. Using the formula we now have, substituting the values, we now have 25.5 plus the quantity of 40 divided by 2 minus 9 over 14 multiplied by 5. Simplifying, 40 divided by 2 is equal to 20. So we now have 20 minus 9 is equal to 11. So we now have, next, 5 times 11 is equal to 55. So we now have 25.5 plus 55 over 14. 55 over 14, or 55 divided by 14, is equal to 3.93. So we now have 25.5 plus 3.93. 25.5 plus 3.93 is equal to 29.43. So this is now the median. Therefore, the median of the quarterly scores in mathematics is 29.43.
Now, how are we going to calculate the mode for group data? Again, mode is the measure with the highest frequency in a set of data. There can be one mode, two or more modes, or no mode. It is best used for data which call for a nominal scale as a measure of popularity. Now, to solve for mode for group data, we have to use this formula, where this symbol is the lower limit of the modal class. And this, or the d sub 1, is the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the class interval immediately before the modal class. D sub 2 is the difference between the frequency in the modal class and the class interval immediately following the modal class. And I is the class size. Now, let us have an example. Find the mode of the summative test result of grade 7 students in mathematics. Since the interval 26 to 30 has the highest frequency, thus 26 to 30 is the modal class. When we say modal class, it is the class with the highest frequency. Now, what is the lower limit of this modal class? Right, it is 25.5. We subtract 0.5 from 26. D sub 1 is equal to 14 minus 8. Since D sub 1 is the difference between the frequency of the modal class and the class interval immediately before the modal class. So 14 minus 8 is equal to 6. D sub 2. D sub 2 here is equal to 14 minus 7. Since D sub 2 is the difference between the frequency in the modal class and the class interval immediately following the modal class. So 14 minus 7 is equal to 7. Our class size here is, right, it is equal to 5. Now solving using the formula, we now have
Substituting the given values, so we now have 25.5 plus the quotient of 6 over 6 plus 7 times 5. Simplifying, 6 plus 7 is equal to 13. So we have 25.5 plus 6 over 13 times 5. 6 over 13 multiplied by 5 is equal to 30 over 13. So we now have 25.5 plus 30 over 13. 30 over 13 can be simplified into 2.31. So we now have 25.5 plus 2.31. 25.5 plus 2.31 is equal to 27.81. Therefore, the mode of the summative test result of grade 7 students in mathematics is 27.81.
To explain and calculate the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode of a given statistical data, we follow the following steps. Step 1. Identify if the given data is grouped or ungrouped. Step 2. Following the steps from the key concept, calculate the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode of the given statistical data. Step 3. Explain the measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode by stating its definition and the calculated value in step 2. Now, since we already know the steps, let us now explain and calculate measures of central tendency. Given the data below, explain and calculate the measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode. Scores of students in a math test: 5, 9, 4, 7, 8, 6, 3, 5, 5, 6. Step 1. Based on the given, the data is raw, or it is in list of numbers or scores and not written in intervals. Therefore, the given data is ungrouped. Next step. To calculate for the mean of the given ungrouped data, we follow the steps. First, rewrite the formula. Second, substitute the values from the given data set in the formula. N here is equal to 10, since there are 10 elements in the given data. Now substituting it, we now have the mean is equal to 5 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8 plus 6 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 6 all over 10. Next, add the numbers in the numerator. 5 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8 plus 6 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 6 is equal to 58. So we now have 58 over 10. Now, let us divide. 58 divided by 10 is equal to 5.8. So therefore, the mean is equal to 5.8. Now, to calculate for the median of the given ungrouped data, we follow the steps. First, arrange the values in increasing or decreasing order. Now, arranging it in increasing order, we now have 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next, count the numbers in the data set. If n is odd, then divide it by 2 to get the middle number of the data. If n is even, then this means there are 2 middle numbers. So, you have to get the mean of these 2 numbers to get the value of the median. Now again, n is equal to 10. So 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. This means that the middle number is the 5th element of the given data. The 5th element is right. It is equal to 5. Therefore, the median is equal to 5. Now, to calculate for the mode of the given ungrouped data, we follow the steps. First, arrange the values in increasing or decreasing order. Arranging it in increasing order, we now have 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next step. Analyze the given data set. Observe what value that occurs most often. On the given data set, the number that occurs most often is right, it is equal to 5. Therefore, the mode is equal to 5. We are now on step 3, explaining. Now, based on the solutions, therefore, we could say that 5.8 is the mean or the average score of the students in a math test. Its median, or known as the middle value, is 5, and the mode or the frequently occurring value of the given scores of students in a math test is equal to 5.
Complicated? No.
Now, since you know already how to illustrate and calculate the measures of central tendency for grouped and ungrouped data, then it is time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities. Take your time in answering the activities.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that the essence of mathematics is not to make simple things complicated,
But to make complicated things simple.
Grade 8 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 8 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Hello! Welcome back mga Grade 8 Mathenics!
Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangko! We learn all things ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
Hooray! Now, let us begin!
Today, we will learn on how to prove properties of parallel lines cut by a transversal. Importance of the lesson. Parallel lines exist everywhere. In every object or things, lines are visible, including lines on a writing pad, markings on the streets, and edges of a ruler. The main goal of this lesson is to help students learn and understand the concepts of proving properties of parallel lines cut by a transversal and polish their reasoning skills. At the end of the lesson, you will prove properties of parallel lines cut by a transversal.
Parallel lines are lines that are lying on the same plane but will never meet. These lines are equidistant, meaning to say, lines having equal distance from each other that will never meet. Here are some examples of parallel lines in different directions. We have horizontally, diagonally, and vertically.
Now, what is a transversal line? When we say transversal lines, these are lines that cross two or more lines. As illustration, now this shows how a transversal line cut a pair of parallel lines. When a transversal line cuts a pair of parallel lines, angles are formed. We have exterior angles. So based on the given illustration, the exterior angles are angle A, angle B, angle G, and angle H. Next, we have interior angles. So in the given, the interior angles are angle C, angle D, angle E, and angle F. Next, when a transversal line cuts a pair of parallel lines, here are the different pairs of angles are also formed. First, we have corresponding angles. So in the given illustration, the corresponding angles are angle A and angle E, angle B and angle F, angle C and angle G, and angle D and angle H. Next pair of angles are alternate interior angles. So, in the given illustration, the alternate interior angles are angle C and angle F, and also angle D and angle E. Next pair is alternate exterior angles. The alternate exterior angles in the given are angle A and angle H, and angle B and angle G. Next is the interior angles on the same side of the transversal. So we have two pairs of interior angles on the same side of the transversal. So in the given we have angle C and angle E, and also angle D and angle F. Lastly is the exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. We have also two pairs of exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. So in the given illustration, these are angle A and angle G, and also angle B and angle H.
Now let us have the properties of parallel lines cut by a transversal. First is the corresponding angle postulate. The corresponding angle postulate states that if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are congruent. Take a look at this illustration. Based on the corresponding angle postulate, on this figure we can say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 5 is congruent to angle 7. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. And angle 6 is congruent to angle 8. Now is the alternate interior angle theorem. Alternate interior angle theorem states that if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. How to prove this one? Take a look at this figure. Given M is parallel to N. Transversal P cuts M and N. Now prove that angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Here is the proof with the following statements and its corresponding reasons. First, M is parallel to N. Reason given. Second, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Reason, vertical angles are congruent. Next, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Reason, corresponding angles are congruent. And lastly, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Reason, transitive property of congruence.
Next theorem is alternate exterior angle theorem. This theorem states that if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the alternate exterior angles are congruent. So, to prove this theorem, we now have given. Line M is parallel to line N. Transversal P cuts line M and line N. So, now let's prove that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Note that in the given figure, angle 1 and angle 3 here are alternate exterior angles. So, here is the proof. First statement, line M is parallel to line N. The reason is given. Second, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Reason, corresponding angles are congruent. Next statement, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Reason, vertical angles are congruent. So, therefore, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Reason, transitive property of congruence. Last but not the least theorem is same side exterior angle theorem. This theorem states that if two parallel lines are cut by transversal, then the same side exterior angles are supplementary. So, to prove this theorem, we now have given. Line Q is parallel to line R. Transversal P cuts line Q and line R. Now, let's prove that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. In the given figure, angle 1 and angle 2 are same side exterior angles. So, here is the proof. First statement, line Q is parallel to line R. Reason, given. Second, angle 1 and angle 3 form a linear pair. Reason, definition of a linear pair. Next statement, angle 1 and angle 3 are supplementary. Reason, if two angles form a linear pair, then the angles are supplementary. So it follows that measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 3 is equal to 180 degrees. Reason, definition of supplementary angles. Next statement, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Reason, alternate exterior angle theorem. So it follows that measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 3. Reason, definition of congruent angles. Next statement, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees. Reason, substitution property. So therefore, angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Reason, if the sum of two angles is 180 degrees, then they are supplementary.
Do you get it? Good! Now, there is another one property for parallel lines cut by a transversal. This is the same side interior angle theorem. Same side interior angle theorem states that if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the same side interior angles are supplementary. But to prove this, you will complete the table shown for this will be part of your activity later.
Let us consider example number 1. Prove the same side interior angle theorem. Look at the figure. Given Q is parallel to R. Transversal P cuts Q and R. Prove angle 1 and angle 3 are supplementary. Let us do the two-column proof. First column, statement. Second column, reason. First statement, Q is parallel to R. The reason, given. Number 2, angle 2 and angle 3 form a linear pair. And the reason, definition of linear pair. Number 3 statement, angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary. The reason, if two angles form a linear pair, then the angles are supplementary. Number 4 statement, measure angle 2 plus measure angle 3 is equal to 180 degrees. The reason, definition of supplementary angles. Number 5, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. The reason, alternate interior angle theorem. Number 6 statement, measure angle 1 is equal to measure angle 2. And the reason, definition of congruent angles. Number 7, measure angle 1 plus measure angle 3 is equal to 180 degrees. And the reason, substitution property. And therefore, angle 1 and angle 3 are supplementary. And the reason, if the sum of two angles is equal to 180 degrees, then they are supplementary. Let us proceed example number 2. Prove the figure. Given P is parallel to Q. Prove angle 4 and angle 6 are supplementary. Let us do the two-column proof. First column, statement. Second column, reason. First statement, P is parallel to Q. The reason, given. Number 2, angle 3 and angle 4 form a linear pair. The reason, definition of linear pair. Number 3 statement, measure angle 3 plus measure angle 4 is equal to 180 degrees. The reason, sum of angles of a linear pair is equal to 180 degrees. Number 4 statement, angle 3 is congruent to angle 6. The reason, alternate interior angles are congruent. Number 5, measure angle 3 is equal to measure angle 6. The reason, definition of congruent angles. Number 6 statement. Measure angle 6 plus measure angle 4 is equal to 180 degrees. The reason, substitution property of equality. Therefore, angle 4 and angle 6 are supplementary. The reason, definition of supplementary angles.
Complicated?
No. Now, since you know already the proof of the properties of parallel lines cut by transversal, then it is time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities. Just take your time in answering the activities.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet.
To end, always remember that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere.
So, education must continue. Grade 9 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 9 is coming next.
Good luck and God bless everyone!
Hello! Welcome back mga grade 9 mathematics.
Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangko! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
hooray! Now, let us begin.
Our today's lesson is all about using trigonometric ratios to solve real-life problems involving right triangles. Now, why do we need to study this lesson? When you encounter solving problems involving right triangles, it means you need to find all missing sides and angles. In that case, we used trigonometric ratios to solve it. Mastering your skill in using trigonometric ratios to solve real-life problems involving right triangles helps you make the solving process easier. Learners, take note that at the end of this lesson, you will use trigonometric ratios to solve real-life problems involving right triangles by following few steps. Now, before we use trigonometric ratios to solve real-life problems involving right triangles, let us have a review first about trigonometric ratios. For any right triangle, there are 6 trigonometric ratios. These 6 trigonometric ratios will help us find the unknown side lengths and the unknown angle measures in right triangles. Here are the definition of the 6 trigonometric ratios. Sin theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Cosecant theta is equal to hypotenuse over opposite. Secant theta is equal to hypotenuse over adjacent. Cotangent theta is equal to adjacent over opposite. The mnemonic SOHCAHTOA can help us remember these definitions, where SO is an acronym for sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. CA stands for cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and TOA for tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. Learners, take note that the 3 ratios at the right, the sine, cosine, and tangent, are reciprocals of the ratios on the left, the cosecant, secant, and cotangent, respectively. Now, since the concept of trigonometric ratios were already discussed, then let us use such concept in solving real-life problems involving right triangles. Now, how to use trigonometric ratios to solve real-life problems involving right triangles? Step 1. Draw an illustration and label it with the information given in the problem. Step 2. Determine which trigonometric ratio to use. Step 3. Create an equation using the definition of the trigonometric ratio to be used and solve for the unknown. Let us have examples. Example number 1. The boat and the lighthouse. How far away is a boat from the lighthouse if the lighthouse is 120 feet tall and the angle of depression to the boat is 15 degrees? Give the distance to the nearest tenth of a foot. Solution. To solve this problem using trigonometric ratio, we follow these steps. Step 1. We draw an illustration and we label it with the information given in the problem. Let x be the unknown in the given problem. Now here are the given information in the problem. We have 120 feet. This is the height of the lighthouse. It is assumed that the lighthouse is perpendicular to the ground. We have also 15 degrees. This is the angle of depression to the boat. And also we have x. This is the unknown, the distance of the boat from the lighthouse. Now, based on the given information in the problem, we come up with this illustration. Now, since the illustration shows a right triangle, then we can apply trigonometric ratios to solve for the unknown, which is the distance of the boat from the lighthouse. Step 2. Determine which trigonometric ratio to use. When solving some problems with an angle of depression, first you need to find the measure of an angle inside the right triangle formed, which is the alternate interior angle of that given angle of depression. Note that alternate interior angles are congruent. So, looking at the illustration we have in step 1, its measure is also 15 degrees. Isolating the right triangle formed we have in step 1, we now have this right triangle. We use this angle 15 degrees inside this right triangle as our reference. Now, to determine which trigonometric ratio to use in solving for the unknown, which is represented by x, note that referring to angle 15 degrees inside this right triangle, we are given the length of its opposite side, which is 120 feet, and we are asked to find the length of its adjacent side, the x or the unknown. The trigonometric ratio that contains both of those sides, the opposite side and the adjacent side, is the tangent. Therefore, we use the trigonometric ratio tangent to solve the given problem. Step 3. Create an equation using the definition of the trigonometric ratio to be used and solve for the unknown. Now, since we use the trigonometric ratio tangent, writing its definition, we now have tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now, substituting the given information that the opposite side of angle 15 degrees is 120 and the adjacent side of angle 15 degrees is x or the unknown, then we now have tangent 15 degrees is equal to 120 over x. Now, solving for x or the unknown, we do cross multiplication. So we now have tangent 15 degrees times x is equal to x times tangent 15 degrees. And just copy 120. So we now have x times tangent 15 degrees is equal to 120. Now, since our goal here is to solve for the value of x, then we can apply division property of equality. We divide both sides of the equation by tangent 15 degrees. So we now have x times tangent 15 degrees over tangent 15 degrees is equal to 120 over tangent 15 degrees. Simplifying, we can cancel out tangent 15 degrees in the numerator and tangent 15 degrees in the denominator. So we now have x left. So we now have x is equal to 120 over tangent 15 degrees. Tangent 15 degrees is equal to 0.2679. So we now have x is equal to 120 over 0.2679. 120 divided by 0.2679, this is equal to 447.9. Therefore, the value of x is equal to 447.9. Now, what is the distance of the boat from the lighthouse? Now, since x, or the unknown, is the distance of the boat from the lighthouse, therefore, the distance of the boat from the lighthouse is 447.9 feet. Example number 2. We have the flying kite. When the kite is 120 feet high, it makes an angle of 40 degrees with the level ground. Now, how long is the string? Solution. To solve this problem using trigonometric ratio, we follow these steps. Step 1. We draw an illustration and we label it with the information given in the problem, and we let x be the unknown in the given problem. Now here are the given information in the problem. We have 120 feet. It is the height of the kite from the ground. We have also 40 degrees. This is an angle of elevation between the string of the kite and the ground. Take note that angle of elevation is from the ground up. We have also x, which is the unknown or the length of the string. Now, based on the given information in the problem, we come up with this illustration. Now, since our illustration shows a right triangle, then we can apply trigonometric ratios to solve the given problem. Step 2. Determine which trigonometric ratio to use. Notice that the given angle is an angle of elevation, which is 40 degrees. Now, since it is already located inside the right triangle formed, then we can directly use it as a reference. Now, to determine which trigonometric ratio to use in solving for the unknown, which is represented by x, note that referring to angle of elevation 40 degrees, we are given the length of its opposite side, 120 feet, and we are asked to find the length of the hypotenuse, which is the x or the length of the string. The trigonometric ratio that contains both of those sides, the opposite side and the hypotenuse, is right, the sine. Thus, we use the trigonometric ratio sine to solve the given problem. Step 3. Create an equation using the definition of the trigonometric ratio to be used and solve for the unknown. Now, since we use the trigonometric ratio sine to solve for x or the unknown, which is the length of the string, and writing its definition, we now have sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Now, substituting the given information, which are the opposite side of angle 40 degrees is 120, the hypotenuse is x or the unknown, then we now have sine 40 degrees is equal to 120 over x. Now, solving for x or the unknown, we do cross multiplication. So, sine 40 degrees times x is equal to x times sine 40 degrees. And we now have x times sine 40 degrees is equal to 120. Now, solving for x, we apply division property of equality. We divide both sides of the equation by sine 40 degrees. So, we now have x times sine 40 degrees over sine 40 degrees is equal to 120 over sine 40 degrees. Simplifying, we can cancel out sine 40 degrees in the numerator and in the denominator. So we now have x left on the left side of the equation. So x is equal to 120 over sine 40 degrees. Now, plugging in sine 40 degrees into the calculator and making sure that it is in degree mode, sine 40 degrees, its value is 0.6428. So we now have x is equal to 120 over 0.6428. Simplifying, 120 divided by 0.6428 is equal to 186.69. Therefore, x here is equal to 186.69. Now, what do you think is the height of the string? Now, since x is the unknown or the height of the string, therefore, the string is 186.69 feet long.
Complicated? No. Now, since you already learned how to use trigonometric ratios in solving real-life problems, then it is time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity. Take your time in answering the activity.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet.
To end, always remember that the only way to learn mathematics
Is to do mathematics. Grade 10 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 10 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Hello! Welcome back mga grade 10 Mathenics!
Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangkub! We learn all things ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
Hooray! Now, let us begin.
Today's lesson is about interpreting measures of positions, the quartile, decile, and percentile. The key word for today's discussion is to interpret. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defined the word interpret to explain or to tell the meaning of or to present in understandable terms. We all know that life is a series of events, and with each event, we attach a meaning. With each event, we decide upon an interpretations or attach meanings that we define who and what we are and what we can have and do. Then, we go about life collecting evidence to confirm and validate these interpretations. It is from this realm of interpretation that our personal reality was shaped, made manifest. In mathematics, the skills in interpreting mathematical concepts is very important, especially in conveying ideas about the problems presented, and for us also to integrate and apply such knowledge in real-life situation. Furthermore, interpretations leads to the establishment of explanatory concepts that can serve as a guide for future. It opens new avenues of intellectual adventure and stimulates the quest for new knowledge. Learners, as our objective for today is that at the end of this lesson, you are expected to interpret the measures of positions.
Quartiles are a form of percentiles. Quartiles split the distribution into 4. A good way of remembering this is that quartile sounds similar to quarter, which is a fourth. Here is how quartiles are illustrated. In interpreting quartiles, you will look into the correct percentage equivalent. Quartiles are the score points which divide a distribution into 4 equal parts. The quartile 1 or the first quartile, quartile 2 or the second quartile, quartile 3 or the third quartile, and quartile 4 or the fourth quartile. The first quartile is called the lower quartile. The second is called the middle quartile. The third is called the upper quartile. And the fourth is called the maximum. 25% of the distribution are below the first quartile. 50% of the distribution are below the second quartile. And 75% are below the third quartile. This shows that quartile 2 is greater than quartile 1 but less than quartile 3. Question: what percent is equivalent to quartile 1? Right, it is equivalent to 25%.
Now, let us interpret deciles. Deciles are percentiles that split the data into groups of 10%, meaning every decile contains 10% of the data. Here is how deciles are illustrated. In interpreting deciles, you will look into the correct percentage equivalent to first decile, second decile, third decile, fourth decile, fifth decile, sixth decile, seventh decile, eighth decile, and ninth decile. It is very easy to remember their percentage since each decile contains the 10% of the distribution. Hence, when we say decile 1 or first decile, it contains 10% of the distribution. When we say decile 2 or second decile, it contains 20% of the distribution, and so on. Now, let us have the first question. What percent is equivalent to D5 or fifth decile? Correct, it is equivalent to 50%.
Percentiles. It indicates the percentage of scores that fall below a particular value. They tell you where a score stands relative to other scores. Here is how percentiles are illustrated. In interpreting percentiles, you will look into the correct percentage equivalent to percentile 1, percentile 2, percentile 3, up to percentile 99. It is very easy to remember their percentage since each percentile contains the 1% of the distribution. Hence, when we say percentile 1, it is also equal to 1%. Percentile 2 contains 2%, and so on. In other words, percentiles determine the value for 1%, 2%, 3%, up to 99% of the data. Percentile 30, or the 30th percentile of the data, means 30% of the data have values less than or equal to percentile 30. The table shows the hourly wages, in pesos, of the 50 workers in the Paradise Farm. In solving for the quartile 2, the result is 123. What does it imply? Well, first, let us identify the given. Based on the given, quartile 2 is equal to 123. Now, let us identify the equivalent of quartile 2. Based on the definition of quartile, quartile 2 is equivalent to 50%. Hence, we must use the 50% in interpreting 123 hourly wage. Now, let us write the interpretation. This means that 50% of the workers have an hourly wage of 123 pesos and below. If we will examine deeper, half the population of the workers in the Paradise Farm receive an hourly wage of 123 pesos and below. Also, the other half of the workers earn above 123 pesos every hour. Now, if there are 50 workers in the farm, then there are 25 workers receiving an hourly wage worth of 123 pesos, and the rest of the workers, which is also 25, are earning more than 123 pesos every hour.
Instructor Yumi gave a test to her students in statistics. The students finished the test in 20 minutes. This time, 20 minutes, is the third decile of the allotted time. What does this mean? First, identify the given. Now, based on the given problem, the given is 20 minutes, which is the decile 3 or third decile. Second, identify the equivalent of the third decile. We know that third decile is equivalent to 30%. Hence, in interpreting 20 minutes of the allotted time, we must use 30%. Next, write the interpretation. We know that the third decile is equal to 30%, and based on the given problem, the third decile is 20 minutes. This means that the learners finished the test within 30% of the allotted time. You can say it is good because it means the students finished the test in a short period of time. If we will examine deeper, it is understood that the teacher gave the learners around 70 minutes to finish the test. Gladly, the students finish it in just 20 minutes. It means to say that the learners did the test in a short period of time.
Rendell is the CEO of a big company in Davao City. His salary is in the 90th percentile. Should Rendell be glad about his salary or not? Explain your answer. Now to interpret this, let us first identify the given. Rendell's salary is in the 90th percentile. Then now, let us identify the equivalent of percentile 90. Well, we have just learned that percentile 90 is equal to 90%. This problem requires you to inspect whether Rendell will be glad of his salary or not. To do this, you need to note first that percentile 90 means 90% of Rendell's co-workers receive a salary less than what he receives. Now, let us interpret. Percentile 90 is equivalent to 90%, and that is equivalent to Rendell's salary. Now, what does it mean? This means that 90% of the employees receive salary that is less than or equal to his salary, and 10% of the employees receive a salary that is greater than his salary. Rendell should be pleased with his salary. If there are 100 employees in this company, then there are 90 workers receiving less salary than Rendell. It also means that out of 100 workers, there are only 10 of them receiving higher salary than him. With these informations, you can clearly say that Rendell will be happy about his salary. Complicated?
No. Now, since you already learned how to interpret the measures of positions, the quartiles, deciles, and percentiles, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity. Just take your time in answering the activity.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet. To end, always remember that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere.
So, education must continue.
Good luck and God bless everyone!
Tayo na. Buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care.